What's up everybody, another beautiful day in the Dragon Isles, and we're back with some more Mythic raid guides. And today we're taking a look at the Mythic Amalgamation Chambers. Now I'll be going over most of the Mythic mechanics, how to deal with them, and our overall tactic for this fight. And if you have any questions or suggestions for the fight, hit me up and let me know in the comments if you downed the boss. Prog hype. So setup wise, you want 2 tanks, 4 healers, and 14 DPS. Full single target blasty blasters, but other than that there's not really any required classes or specs, just blast. Now apart from being beefed up, the new mythic mechanics is in addition to the 2 dots you get, the Corrupting Shadow and Blazing Heat. They now last forever and can only be cleared by running into a player with the opposite debuff, and doing so triggers a 5-yard AoE around 2 players, which deals a ton of damage, so stacking is not recommended. On top of this, based on the amounts of stacks from either debuff you cleared, you get a new debuff called Lingering Shadow or Lingering Flame, depending on which you cleared. Now the Lingering increases shadow or fire damage taken by 10% per stack. So if you clear your Corrupting Shadow at 5 stacks, you take 50% increased shadow damage for 20 seconds, and vice versa for fire. They also deal some ticking damage, but the big part is the percent damage taken. And this of course continues in phase 2 as well. However, due to this you need to play the fight a tad differently from heroic. So the strat we opted in for was swap the bosses, not the raid. So we split the raid into half, 1 tank, 2 healers, and 7 DPS per boss. And we assigned everyone an accountability buddy that they always cleared with on the same side. So left side always cleared with other players on left side. And this is due to the fact that we swap sides on bosses rather than the raid. So left side start with the Shadow Boy, and when they swap and fire comes over, they will all get stacks of the fire dot, enabling them to clear with each other, since everyone has both dots. Big brain. However, due to this, the tank will have the fun job of pulling the bosses together and raging them for a short duration before they've crossed over to the other side. Since if they're within 25 yards of each other, their damage is increased by 200%. So what our tanks did was they swapped on the 2nd and 3rd Coalescing Void. You can swap on the 2nd and 4th, but there's more raid damage. So as soon as the 2nd Coalescing Void went out, they rushed over towards the middle, taunted each other's bosses, and ran back. Important to keep in mind that the bosses deal 200% increased damage for a while, so tanks will want to avoid ever being in melee range of the bosses while they're in rage. So taunt from a distance, run back while you scream like a panicking goat. So let's break down phase 1 real quick. On pull, do not Bloodlust. Save it for phase 2. Players targeted by Umbral Detonation run out and drop zones into the wall. Whenever Shadow Boy spawns the big balls from Shadow Convergence, melee run out with the tank to minimize downtime. Run early, they close in fast, and they hit like a truck. And make sure to run away from Coalescing Void when it goes out. Also hurts a lot if you're close to it. Yeah, I know it's pretty, but still. On the Fire Nation side, everyone soaks the Meteor and pre-spread for Molten Eruption and make sure all the shiny circles are soaked. And melee, beware of the swirling flames. There's a lot more projectiles on Mythic, so it's a bigger arc if you will. Move behind boss as soon as this starts to cast. And when the 2nd Coalescing Void goes out, tanks run to swap bosses and everyone else spread and AFK. As soon as the bosses comes in range, you'll start getting the opposite dots. If you're stacked with any player, you will instantly blow up and die. So don't chase after the bosses for those 2 globals. Oh, but damn! Just chill, wait for the bosses to come over, wait for the enrage to drop, and then you clear your stacks with your clear buddy. Because you really want to avoid clearing when they're enraged, because, well, you die. And following this, keep smacking bosses until the next Coalescing Void, which is the 3rd, and then swap bosses again. Depending on your overall DPS, you can either swap once more on 4th or just out-heal the dot a bit. Keep in mind that when a boss reaches 50%, you'll hit phase 2, so get him down evenly, and as soon as phase 2 starts, everyone needs to spread. Boss will clear all your dot stacks, which will trigger the AoE on everyone, as well as the lingering debuff. And in phase 2, the strat is pretty simple. We tank boss near a wall, so far back on one side, pre-spread before the new Shadow and Flame dots goes out. Players marked needs to find a player with the opposite debuff. Shadow Hug Fire. Fire Friend.
friend.
Make sure you don't blow up other players, or rather they should make sure to be spread and move away from any player with the debuff on them so they can clear. And players targeted by Blistering Twilight, run out far and drop your patches near the walls. Then Dance Dance Revolution, dodge all the tornadoes. And tanks, try to aim the Meteor Soak Gloom Conflagration towards the wall. Everyone needs to soak this, and after, the raid runs towards the opposite side of the room. Boss and all. And by aiming the Meteor Soak part towards the wall, you'll spawn the bomb further away from where you're running. It helps, but it's not the end of the world if you mess it up. And then it's just rinse repeat, alternate between sides on every Gloom Conflag, pre-spread for new dots and clear fast, and that's about it. Bloodlust at the start of the phase. Pew 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 pew. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Mythic Amalgamation Chambers. Now, if you have any questions, hit me up here or become a patron or Twitch sub and get access to the Stankie Gaming Discord, which is the fastest way to get a hold of me, and it's also filled with a lot of useful info and helpful people, if you need any help PvE-wise. And don't forget the usual stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, ring that notification bell. It really helps me out. I'm also streaming all progression rating on Twitch, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, Stankie Gaming. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.